And that brings us to our final story, Glacial Elevation Operations by the legendary Kim Stanley Robinson. We're just a stone's throw from 2030, and a massive heat wave has killed 20 million people in India, prompting the UN to create a new body, the Ministry for the Future. Their goal is to protect all living creatures, present and future, who cannot speak for themselves. And so in this effort, they reach out to senior glaciologist, Dr. Pete Griffen, who is going to work on the problem of sea level rise. So please welcome Dr. Griffen.
If sea level rises even a meter, all the beaches of the world are gone. Seaports, coastal infrastructures, salt marshes, you name it, gone. And that's why I was back down there again in Antarctica, working on the seawater pumping experiment, even though it was obvious to all of us it was a crazy idea. 10 million wind power turbines, thousands of pipelines. It was a fantasy cure, but someone had to try it. And our project had another season of funding. So we jammed the pump back into the water and ran the pipeline up and over the big white hill, laying those pipes along the ground because snow or ice is better insulated than air and warmer too. Now, when this water jets out of the outlet, it steams madly in the dry polar air before sploshing down onto the ice and running away down a slope as we planned it, having aimed the nozzle downhill. But we got surprised at how fast the water froze. Pouring it out in quantity, as from a sewer outflow or a fire hose, we thought it would take longer, but not so. In fact, newly frozen ice was stacking just meters away from the outlet, creating a sort of low dam and making downhill no longer down, and so that the unfrozen water was flowing back towards the outlet in the other direction. Shit. So we hustle down to the ice dam and start trying to break it, which works exactly as we expect. No. And in the midst of our fuss, our colleague Jordi starts shouting, I'm stuck, help! He was standing in what had been ankle-deep water near the outlet and was now ice that had him stuck firmly in place. Help indeed. We started out laughing and ended up cursing as we tried to cut him free. Nothing worked. Sure, he wasn't in imminent danger, but in the race between the rising ice and the newly emerging water sliding slickly over it, the ice was winning. Pull him out of his fucking boots, I said. Leave the boots. So, Jordi was saved. But the problem and the boots remained. So we shut down for a week and rebuilt the outlet to emerge under pressure and snake back and forth like a windshield wiper. See how that went? And when we tried it, the water came out, ran down the hill, froze along the way, and pooled pretty well away from our outlets. And we got better and better at mapping where the water would eventually pool. And we came up with an estimate. We could deposit about 1 meter of water per year on any part of the polar plateau and have it freeze successfully. At 1 meter thick, that would be about 1/3 of Antarctica. No way in the world. It wasn't going to happen. We had now established a trifecta of impossibilities. Not enough energy, not enough pipeline, not enough land. The straight-up seawater pumping experiment was a failure. It was a fantasy cure. The beaches of the world were fucked. The next Antarctic season, we were back. We were going to try something new. Project Slowdown. We'd done the calculations. Instead of pumping water out of the sea, we were going to pump it from underneath the glaciers. We'd calculated how many boreholes we had to drill, how far apart they should be, and so on. It's pretty audacious. You suck enough water from the underside of a glacier for the whole ice block to lose its water cushion and sink back down onto bedrock. It's the only thing that could work. So, there we were, melting and casing 20 boreholes into Pine Island Glacier. After that, we pumped up all the water we could. It didn't seem so bad. It can be done. Beach is still in existence, solves all problems. All right, doesn't solve all problems. It's bloody expensive. But let's not get picky. I mean, what's the monetary value of human civilization? Even trying to answer that proves you're a moral and practical idiot. So, there I was, doing the rounds, checking the holes were working, the pumps were pumping, the heating elements were keeping the water liquid, and so on. And you know what? Despite everything, it looked like it was working. It actually was going according to plan. Project Slowdown has been going for a decade now. 30 of the largest glaciers on the planet, all of them in Antarctica and Greenland, have seen expeditions to their crux points and wells drilled through their ice. After that, the water is pumped to the surface and spread to refreeze. None of this would be possible without the navies of the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom. They allow a village of their aircraft carriers to freeze into the sea ice year-round to keep the work going. Now, recently, our team flew to the center of the Recovery Glacier, where we had drilled a double line of wells 5 years ago. One of those lines was reporting that all its pumps had stopped. Out on the flat, we went to the wells that had run dry. Everything looked okay on the surface, but very quickly, the problem picked up by the automatic monitoring system was confirmed pump by pump, just by looking in the exit pipes and seeing no water. The holes closer to the center of the glacier were pumping less than the others, and in fact, most of them were pumping nothing at all. Down went the camera. We stared at the screen. Got to be blocked somewhere, someone said. Yeah, but where? Eventually, we get to the bottom of the hole. No water at any point along the way. You know what? This glacier has bottomed out. There's just no more water left to pump. We've done it. The glacier will still slide into the sea, but at its old, slow speed. There's going to be a lot of people working down there for the foreseeable future. Maybe for decades. Maybe forever. A rather glorious project, we all agreed, after thawing out in the dining hut. We raised a toast to the rugged, black-cliffed mountains rearing up in the low sky. You just do what you have to in an ongoing improvisation, and try to survive if you can.
All right. That story was adapted from Kim Kim Stanley Robinson's novel, Ministry for the Future. It's a cli-fi masterpiece that we have available for purchase in the back here. You'll see a booth back there with books on it. That brings us to the end of our climate parables. Yes, I'd like to thank everyone involved, the authors, the actors, the animators, our amazing musicians, and our show's composer, Tristan de Liège, for all of that beautiful music. I'd also like to give special thanks to Back Pocket Media, who helped turn these incredible stories into what you've just seen.